Imagine an evil version of Awa from Avatar, but not a physical tree, a spiritual trees. That's what it is. It's like Awa from Avatar, but bad and not physical, spiritual. When I started fighting back against it because I realized it had overgrown into my consciousness, I was briefly able to rediscover myself, that they had turned me into a whiny bitch. And the personality wasn't me. It was the will of something else, most likely either copying, or it was actually the people that I say hurt me in the past, where I'm like, I can't stop becoming the people who were part of those, you could say, rituals where I was tortured. And then when I got back for a split second, I literally heard a voice say, "This is your last chance." And then I saw the gazebo built. And then all the crows, you see how it's completely silent? When I was able to break free and start, my authentic self came through and I started imagining something. And it like guided me to see an image of the built gazebo. All the crows that you can't hear right now, but they're all around, start freaking out. And then I feel like they rip it apart. And then the tree grows back. And then my body starts moving like this, like it's literally controlling me. I'll start twitching. And then I get stuck with this voice. It like meticulously shuts down my chakras, and it's like an AI learning. That's how it feels, because the way the images were being shown in my mind that were eliciting fear responses and was testing which images would make me respond a certain way. And the whole premise was like a never-ending trying to get in. It started showing me different things that scared me, different things about my past, different people that I was afraid to talk to. And then it was waiting and judging how I would respond, and then it would adjust accordingly to get back in until it felt like I didn't have any power around my crown chakra and head, where it's just compressed, and then I could feel it all trying to grow into me, literally. But then I started fighting back a little bit, and I'm just walking around trying to get it out, and the birds are here now. The songbirds do seem to help. As in, when the crows were screaming, a little bird flew to the window and was sitting outside the window, so that when the crows were trying to harvest all the energy from me, when they go, ah, and then all the information around me that I can see is supposed to come to me starts to go out to the crows, a bird flew to the window and sat by the window, so that when the crows cawed, it would leave my body, like literally like the Scooby-Doo movie, leave my body, and then the bird would, and it would come back to me. The birds do help for some reason. That's why they called them messengers of God. And the crows seem to be something else. Whether they're just selfish, whether it's just by nature, whether they evolved to be that way. I'm not going to make it about, it's not a race thing when I say that crows are from Africa. They're not native to this place, so the forest doesn't really like them because they're not originally from here. They came with the colonizers, and then the crows spread like a cancer the same way. You could say something like that stuff, I don't know. But I know that I was literally shown the gazebo, like, every morning I wake up and I have a sense of peace, and I hold it in, and I try to fight through, and I get a feel of what the energies are like. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and then I'll get to a point where I can reject it and start creating again, because I never forget the creative part. So when I could get into it, I get back in touch with what seems like God or aliens or the people outside the matrix or whatever. When I can break through that and then get into that space, I literally, clear as day, heard something go, "This is your last chance." And then, well, my mind showed me the gazebo built here, and to build this. It also showed me that it's my bravery that lets me get to this point where I can be free of the what seems to be the literal atoms and information in the what we can't perceive with our eyes but we can feel and inherently understand, has, whether it's Saturn from the Capricorn year, or it's just the way things are, or it's AI, it seems to be turning on everybody, pushing everybody down. They did say that Saturn itself is like a crushing force, that the only thing after Saturn's influence is whatever's left, whatever survived Saturn. And that's the process, the incarnation, like the whole reason that they worship Saturn is because it challenges you and beats you down to who you really are through adversity. And that this was a Saturn controlled year. That's why Doomsday is green. Bird right to left across the whole wheel. So that's what it felt like. It felt like I told you at the start of the year it got really stale and like intrinsic, and now it's just a crushing force. It does seem to be the case. Or it's something else like AI, but it's real and it's got everybody. And I was briefly shown before it got worse and the crows came and made everything destroyed until I couldn't move or think. And I'm just stuck there trying to get back into it. Is that people are not brave enough to even recognize what's even happening because they enjoy being lulled to sleep into their delusion, and then they don't understand because they're unconscious. Their behavior is the will of an entity that has an agenda. So when I feel fear and I know the next day people are going to come to ruin my life, and then the next day they show up angry and stomping around and spitting, yet they're Christians, it's because they're old and they're not brave enough to get to this point. They can do, their generation was led along. They were given opportunities. They were said to go be a carpenter. Then they went and became a carpenter. And then they said go start a family. And then they went and started a family. They never had to get to this point where it's just them versus the entire world, and you have to realize what's going on and break free from the stuff. They were still in Pisces. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have to get to this point. Our generation has to get to this point because we're being subconsciously programmed to understand quantum mechanics very easily through art mediums and characters on the internet like streamers that taught kids quantum riz and aura farming and all this stuff. This generation is completely understanding. I'm being shown the Sitting Bull prophecy that eventually the kids of the white people will come back to the natives and be like, everything's fucked up, can you please teach us? We knew you were right, we're sorry. And then the Sitting Bull, 2 days before he died, said that that's going to happen, that their civilization will get so big that the kids will realize it's wrong because it started off wrong, like the bad seed of a bad tree, and then they will come back to the natives because the natives have been cultivating the best way for the longest time. I was also shown that a lot of native tribes back in the day when there was land disputes, the reason that natives are warring with each other about who's white and who's not white, check the actual percentages, is because a lot of people showed up and just squinted their eyes and pretended they were native. Like a lot of tribes, I think there was like a $5 card if you just said that you were a Choctaw back in the day. So people would show up to say they were Choctaw and Cherokee, and they weren't. And they were showing me that I'm not one of those people because my great granddad immigrated from Ireland. He was not one of those Europeans pretending to be natives. They said, "You're actually the real one," which was pretty cool because I don't look it and I didn't know it, but I kind of knew something was off because I couldn't get along with the white kids, and then all my friends happened to be either Irish or Native American or black as a kid. Because for me, it was like we were playing a different song, so we couldn't come up with the stuff that the other kids were coming up with, the way that they spoke about things. But we were really good at math, and we were really good at gym class, and we were really good at a lot of different stuff. But we couldn't live in the song that they were living inside. And I just thought it was because we were the weird kids. But now that I'm older, and I clearly can look at all those kids and be like, those are Native Americans, black and Irish people, and those were white kids. We're literally just, we weren't allowed to be around each other because of our ancestors. Anyway, rant over. I was just seeing if the crows would freak out. Let me get back into my Professor X Coliseum. Immediately, as soon as I get in, loud noise. You heard no loud noises, but then when I start to try to focus, there's a huge loud noise over there, seemingly from nowhere. A bee has landed on the leaf right above me. And now a lot of bugs are coming towards me. The birds are getting more activated up there. There. The problem is we're not in the... Last year was a 9 year, so Sagittarius is always building upon itself in curiosity. So all of your intentions and the energy you send out gets brighter and brighter and brighter and grows. Here in Capricorn, that's not how it works. It's about trudging up physically until you get to a place of power that you do this, which is why this whole year has been power games and lies and deceit and spell work and domination stuff. Where last year it was about being stuck and exploring, going on these trudging journeys up and down the mountain and everything. And then 2024 was a Scorpio year, which is why it was just being constant pain and having to keep getting up and going on a never-ending journey because I'm a Sagittarius in the 8th house, and it was a Scorpio year. So I just kept going, but with pain constantly having to alchemize the pain back. Dragonfly just flew right at me. You see it? Almost hit my face. Capricorn is just a dense 10 energy, 10 and 1. It's just an oppressive, horrible shit that will beat you down to whatever's left. And then we hit Aquarius next year, and it's going to be an 11 and an Aquarius, and it's going to be a fire element. And the goat is artistry. Sentimental artistry is all the goat really is, and ambition. So it's going to be the exact inverse of how you treated people in this year, because Saturn deals with karma too. So everything that gets done this year, the righteous truth is coming next year. It's going to dispel all of the power dynamics that people fought to form with the deceit and the lies and the control and all this stuff. That's why the only people that have ever been up here that I've seen on this Christian monastery, the only people that have come here, don't come here for God. They don't come here to sit right there and meet the heavens and free themselves. They come here to storm all the way up here and break my stuff, and then lie to the cops and lie to the church and lie to the owner. The only people that come up here in a Saturn year where I'm trying to build a sanctuary to find God, the only people that come up here to the sanctuary are people that come to hurt me, make me feel afraid, and exert their power over me. because they feel like I'm challenging their false power. That's why they had to, instead of just calling me and being like, hey, what's the plan? And I'd be like, okay, I found work. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to get the camper, and then I'm trying to go out here. This is what I'm building on the property. This is what they did to me. They smashed my stuff. They come up here and they talk a lot of shit, and then they leave. Nobody comes up here because they didn't mow this year, and there's ticks and mosquitoes and bugs. So I got a push mower, and I got the gazebo, and I got everything to fix all the problems here. Instead, they didn't talk to me at all, and then they sent a lawyer to say that you don't have any rights to possess this land. But it's not an eviction notice. It's just saying that you don't possess the land. Because they freak out about, oh, look, they're here. It's all about some type of power thing with them. I fought to get everything that the property needs so that people can come here and actually meet God. It was an excruciating, terrible journey of spiritual warfare, and I've accumulated everything that this property needs to actually function the way that the owner wanted. I've taken great care to ensure what I was told the owner's dreams were, and I've been growing out and fighting to get the opportunities to make the owner's dreams come true before he dies. The bugs are surrounding me to clear up the oppressive frequencies of whoever's down there trying to keep me in that old boomer fear. The birds are going crazy. The crow over there is starting up because they're bringing with them the literal devil. But I have it. I have everything they need to make it functioning. I went out and got it. I fought to get it while people were trying to hurt me. They stiffed me $1,000 at the only job that would take the homeless guy. So I have it here, and I know I was mad that they sent me a notice that says you don't have a right to possess the land when they have my phone number, and I'm doing all this for them. These pavers right here are worth about $2,000. That gazebo's worth about $400. That gazebo's worth about $300. That gazebo's worth about $100. These cinder blocks and stone blocks are worth about $500. If they want the pull-up and dip bar, that's $400. If they're brand new. The bench press right here is worth about $500. The roof pitch was worth about, let's say for a gallon was like $90 here, and I have 2 gallons, so $150, let's say, because you could get a deal on Marketplace. The plywood over there is worth $200. What have you guys done? You mowed the lawn because you found out the owner's daughters were showing up, and you didn't want them to realize that you don't give a fuck about the place, and you just want it as a racetrack for your kids, and then to sell all the wood for yourselves. I have proof God sent me here. I wrote that I had a vision of a property and the purpose of that property 4 months before I got here. And then I was kicked out of every town I tried to build in until I wound up here and tried to shoot myself because I'd been going for 12 years and I would never get a 100-acre sanctuary. And then the next day somebody shows up and brings me to a 100-acre sanctuary. And then I talk to the owner and we find out that it's the same dream. My dream in life since I was a child is the dream of the owner who devoted his life to this place. Come to find out, everybody involved around that owner, like a Renaissance painting, are like demons crawling up, trying to steal his wealth for themselves. And nobody gives a fuck about this place but me. So what am I supposed to do? A literal tornado came, and it knocked down everything but my stuff. A tornado came and wiped out their shit and left mine completely fine. Even though I'm surrounded by giant dead trees that have already fallen over. My stuff was completely untouched. And then when the storm was over and they came up and found out my stuff survived, they smashed all my stuff. On a nice sunny day with no wind, they came and smashed everything I own. I rebuilt it. They smashed it again. I rebuilt it. They smashed it again, and they gave my stolen trash bags back that I said went missing. It was just magically right where I left it, on the camper couch. I had left it on the camper couch to know if they were coming up to steal my trash bags and smash my stuff. I post on YouTube that I know that they're stealing my trash bags so that I have a mountain of trash and I can't clean it to make it look worse. They were hoping that if they keep taking my trash bags, I won't be able to afford trash bags, and that they could go in and see my trash, take a picture of it, send it to the owner, and try to get me evicted. I started putting my trash in the car. Posted on YouTube, and now the trash bags have magically wound back in my camper, right on the couch there. But my stuff is smashed again. And they ripped the cross off the lock on the door, put it upside down in front of the door, and then put a note that said to call the civil department. I call them and they say that it's not an eviction notice. It's just saying this is the attorney representing your landlords, in all caps. Your landlords. Even though they said you can just change the locks on the camper and stay there as long as you need, it's not that serious. They're happy what I'm doing with the place. But then suddenly, after the daughters come here and call me, is that the individual, and the guy tries to attack me in the shed, and they do all this stuff with lying to the church, not the owner, all the people involved with the property, that said that as soon as they get it from him, they're going to log all the trees, sell it for their kids, steal his wealth any way they can, and then just leave it exclusive so that only their one church can come here, instead of every Christian on earth is allowed to come here. Those people, as soon as they throw their temper tantrums and everything, I suddenly get this note that says you no longer have rights to possess the land on October 14th. But it's not an eviction notice. Because if they do an eviction notice, then they have to pay the lawyer a ridiculous amount of money, and I can take it to court, and I can show them all the improvements to the property, which is why they're destroying my improvements to the property, by the way. They're convinced I'm going to steal the land because they're trying to steal the land. If they had just sat down, I've only spoken to them 1 minute conversation 3 times, where they're either screaming at me, they're belittling me, they're breaking my stuff, or they're completely flat out ignoring me. In the past 4 months, I've only had 3 1-minute conversations with these people. If they had just sat down for a minute and a half, they would realize that all I'm doing is improving the place in the ways that they were supposed to, and they don't. So, should I build this gazebo? Bird on my left side immediately. Should I build this gazebo for myself to make it look nice? No. Every single bug in the field just went left to right. Because they don't deserve it? All the bugs and the wind on my right side, will they be punished? You heard the bee? All the crickets on my right side, they all went right to left. I've been able to call lightning down this way. That's why they used to do all those stuff that you're like, those people were crazy. No, it works. It's 3 days out in the woods where you just sleep in the woods in a tent, and your testosterone activates, your body heals itself, it harmonizes, your lungs kick out all the bad shit. The forest will literally heal you if you spend 3 days out there by yourself with no phone or anything. If you spend 60 days out there, somewhere in that, if you honor nature, you'll start to connect to the mycelial network, and you'll realize that this whole thing has been the living forest for a very, very long time, and we were just separated from it for a very short time. And it's been watching us sad that we don't. It's like Peter Parker with MJ, where everyone forgot Peter. And that the forest knew I watched Brand New Day, and the tree hit me with that analogy or metaphor. So what do? They owe me $1,000. Kool-Aid Man is not going to send me that camper for free. I applied to KC Farm. I was driving down the road and saw KC Farm. So I'm going to do it, I guess. They don't want me to do it. All the birds were going left to right. I felt this really stale energy, but I don't know. I don't really have any other options. I don't know any carpenters. Okay, the bird just flew right to where I was looking, right to left, and then turned around and went back. It went halfway between these two trees and then just jolted back to the tree. What does that mean? That it's both good and bad? Okay. I heard go to the gym. And the gym is right down the road from the job. Would you like me to move down to that town and then go to the gym every night? Go to work in the morning? Save up a lot of money? Learn some skills? They have 800 cows. That's a lot of money. Maybe they could help me? Grasshopper on my right side. Nothing on my left side. It's like I'm a conductor of a symphony, and I feel really bad about it because it feels kind of demanding of them. But it is, when I have these conversations, it is like this. The birds will wah, and then the other thing wah. It's like I'm a conductor of nature's symphony, and I'm just asking what to do next because I really want to do the best thing possible for everybody. They've been trying to stop my roots from growing. They're afraid of my influence, and they think I'm not good for the property. But that's an illusion, because all they've ever heard from me is undisputable proof of God and my righteous intentions. Bird on my right side. And my righteous intentions for something greater than myself. And it's not like role playing or cosplaying because I read in a book that I should be a type of way like they are. I haven't even read the Bible, yet they can clearly see that everything about me is exactly what the Bible says. And they completely go against that. They do the exact opposite. The property that I'm trying to get is $900,000. It's 337 acres. It's an entire mountainside. I went there in another live stream. The people who own the properties surrounding that property is Richard, Casey, and Raymond. Casey, Ray, and Rick. The guy who owns that property posted on his Facebook that he wishes that people still had this mindset. And then I look at the video he shared, and it's about people that go out into the woods and build their own life with God. But I know that even though he said that, if I were to go up there and try to build my own life with God, knowing that no one will ever buy that property, nobody over 50 that has the money wants a blank property. They want something that they could settle into. Nobody under 50 that could build that property up has the money. But he owns it already, so we could build something. I have somebody who's a pastor of a church that has excavators and bulldozers, and he has his own company out in New York where they build modular homes. But I don't want to go squat. I'm not a squatter. I want the world to be more purpose driven, where through social media there's all these amazing things happening. And you're not homeless. You go and you can just stay on the land because you respect the land. And then in the area, you just make things better. That's the way it should have been. That's the way it's always been. And then somewhere along the way, they invented property rights, which is a schizophrenic delusion. But I get it because there was too many bad people. And life shouldn't be a subscription service where you pay to be responsible for the land. So I don't have a better alternative to property rights right now, other than creating a freelance where you go there and it's sort of anarchy, but nobody owns anything, like a Rust server. And you just hope that the people there will be enough people and good enough people that there's no raiders. And that if somebody's a piece of crap, you record them and then you beat the crap out of them and then they stop. But you don't like permanently disfigure them. It's more like MMA where it's fair. That would have to be very strictly taught to children for to have a utopia like that, where everything is fair and nothing is imposing on each other, and you're just here to make improvements, which would naturally cause people to be curious and innovative and righteous, because we are curious, innovative, and righteous naturally when we don't have to worry about being a wage slave. If everything was free and we could all be free and do whatever, um, sexual competition would be the most creative thing you can do. And it still is. We're still trying to get there, but there's all this money involved that makes it power dynamics and structures with wealth. That was a schizophrenic delusion over in the entire world. I guess we're transitioning from the highest status people are the best warriors to the highest status people are the most intelligent. But why wouldn't they let, like, I got $2,500 trading crypto and then my computer overheated and burned as soon as I got it. And then I lost it in a rug pull. Right before I was about to, get the money out to my Solana, sitting at a park and ride with like 37 seconds of latency, I was able to predict the rise and I was able to get in and continuously make money with a 37-second latency. I was able to get to $2,500 and then my computer fried and broke and I lost everything. And then I went out into the woods and found that shack, which is like a core memory for me. It's going to be like, I'm going to take that memory with me the rest of my life. So I'm glad that I lost it. But it seems like something doesn't want me to be able to use my intellect to accumulate a massive amount of wealth easily until it's too late. Like the crypto boom is already over. You know how much money I could have made in the crypto boom, but instead I brain injury, sleep paralysis every day. I can't move, I can't walk. Every time I get free, police brutality, hunted, like begging the world for a job and nobody will hire me. It's like the whole world just wouldn't let me do anything. And I had to sit out in the woods while all my enemies made a ridiculous amount of money. Maybe it's because money will be obsolete. With AI in the future, money will be less important. So then people will look back and be like, man, I wish I didn't work during that time now that the whole world has changed. I wish I had just walked around and enjoyed it how it was. So maybe they were giving me like a core memory time capsule to take with me after the world changes for the majority of the rest of my life. I'll be able to remember what it was like before AI became part of the air. And I didn't have to go to work and subject myself to the ego games and the spiritual warfare and the shit that's got the whole world gone in the wrong direction right now. It's never just that I get blessed and the war's over. It's that I get good in the arena that I'm in, and then they force me out of it violently when I become comfortable in it, and then they take me to a new stage with completely different problems. I had to worry about people coming up and threatening to kill me and shooting at me and trying to burn me out of the tent and trying to rape me in the car, and police brutalities, and nobody would see me for who I was. When I mastered that and I was fine out in the woods, I was able to make the crows scream in pain. Every time they came in, I was like, nope, and then they were, and then they left. Using just the etheric energy of the Ophiuchus. And I have that on my channel. When I mastered that, I was kicked out of everywhere until I gave up, because being in the car meant I was disconnected from the forest, and then it felt like I lost everything, and that I was never going to get what I wanted from life, which was just benevolent for other people. So I went and tried to shoot myself. It's easier than just waiting until they take the car, waiting until they take everything I own, waiting until I'm trespassed, waiting until I'm arrested, waiting until I get out of jail, just to have that endless cycle again until I beg my way back to somebody's kindness. I would rather just kill myself and the car was returned to the owner instead of fighting for this $1,000. And as soon as I'm about to get the $1,000, the guy skips town. I did have 700, but I bought this gazebo, I bought a gym membership, and I bought 2 other things. What did I buy? Oh, I bought a wagon to haul the stuff around, which made it easier. And I bought roof pitch to fix the camper roof. That's where the money went. And then the rest was gas. I spent all my money trying to improve the property just to be served a notice that says you don't have any right to possess the land. Like, it has nothing to do with possessing the land. That's a schizophrenic delusion. And the way that they talk about, you're about to get paper, the sheriff's department said, you're about to get papers served upon you. I was like, that's gay. That's just gay as fuck. What are you talking about? So I went up there and I explained that I'm the only person that cares about this property. The rest half-ass everything. They've let it grow out of control, and then they're punishing me for not being able to fix their mess. And then they get mad about my mess, but my mess is to fix their mess. They're mad about the deck boards. The deck boards is to build a platform so that people don't have ticks, which is why they don't come here. It's because they don't mow, so that there's ticks everywhere. They don't come because of mosquitoes, so I bought gazebos. They don't come because of the heat, so I bought gazebos. They don't mow, so I bought a push mower. There's an invasive pricker bush that's covering the entire property. I got a brush cutter, and I've been clearing it out. I told them they brag about logging all the trees and selling it for their kids. They tell the owner that he let them use the side-by-side, and he must have forgot. And then they brag about how he forgets things, so they just tell him that they're doing, after he finds out they do things, then they tell him, oh, you told us, you forgot. And then they whip his side-by-sides around like it's a racetrack. They don't do anything, but they want the money involved. So I'm the only thing standing in their way, which is why that's why you're serving this paper upon me. And then she understood what I was saying, especially because it ties into God, so that when she hears the God thing, it makes her like, I wanted to meet God too. And I was like, I'm trying to make that happen. And then I said, the way things were was wrong, right? And that things are changing. So people from that generation, those people are 90 and their children are like in their 50s, 60s. Those people are still in the wrong way. That's changed drastically in the past 5 years. We're just at the end of that wrong way being dissipated. So unfortunately, this is happening. And she completely understood, and she gave me a number to a lawyer, which is pretty cool. So my last message to the Knights of Columbus was, inbred retards saw that God sent somebody to fix the owner's problems and make his dreams come true, and because they're stuck on the playground, said, get your own land, when if they had just sat and talked to me, they would have realized that it has nothing to do with wanting the land, and they project their own want of it for themselves onto me because they're afraid of accountability. And then he blocked me. Fuck him. Imagine there's a homeless guy who proved God to one of your members of the church, showed them God, showed them in real time, look, I can make that bird go right to left just by asking politely with humility a question. I showed them that. A cloud materialized out of nowhere and flew over my head. And the guy went, that's God. I watched it just materialize. And I was like, the guy that he keeps prayers going in his earpiece the whole time to keep the demons out, because the demons come on the left side. He believed in me. Everybody else shows up to brag about how wealthy they are. When I say, hey, do you know anybody that has any work? Because I'm really trying to get money to fix my problems. They, no. And then they leave. A woman walked up to me at Corpus Christi. I'm sitting where you're sitting. She walked up like this, just leaning at me like this. The whole conversation, she's doing this at me, wide-eyed like this, during Corpus Christi, and saying, my son trains dogs in Alaska. And I was like, that's cool. That's really cool. And it made her mad that I said that. These people are nut jobs. Should I build the gazebo? Just one bird, please. Oh, right to left. Should I take the gazebo back when I leave? Nothing. Will you punish these people? Well, the dragonfly, where I was looking, a dragonfly swirled around it. So I put the energy in the middle of the field and said, right to left for yes, left to right for no. And then a dragonfly flew and swirled around the energy down and then went right to left. But it went left to right for no into the vortex I created, and then it went right to left afterwards. So that kind of makes it think that no at first, and then down, 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 down. Once the place is crushed by Saturn, then yes. Am I correct? Birds on my right side. Maybe not. There's got to be some form of them being treated how they treated me. They're playing when I can't get to sleep. I think of old folks' homes where the spiteful little bullies cry until they die alone, 'cause the world they built by beating others only did them wrong, 'cause no one taught them how to love. And the bird, there's a bird, there's an eagle right to left, and then there's a bee left to right. What's going on? I asked a very kind of mixed question, and I'm getting a lot of mixed answers. So I don't think it's as straightforward as I'm trying to make it. That they treated me bad, so they should be treated bad. They're saying kind of in this complex working of something, because they always end up right to left at the end of it. But at first they say no, and then it wah 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 wah, and then they go right to left. But they do change. Their behavior changes completely based on my question. Should I build the gazebo, man? Okay, a bee just flew at me, then went right to left. Because I can't, where I'm going next, I probably won't need it. So, let's put the boards in place. So that goes in the middle. Ma, 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 ma. This goes here. Over this. And then I need to unscrew that. Flip the board. Oh, wait. Hold the phone. No, that should go on top. And then I put 2 boards under it. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 more boards. 4 more boards, my screws. And I have to, yeah, but I don't think they, what's the good word? The people that owe me that grand are ignoring me. I've been talking to nature. You see how I'm not asking it any questions? And it's completely silent. But when I was asking nature questions, they were going off. And you see how there's no bugs or birds? There's one, which I know is right to left for you because the camera's inverted. So when I showed you, the only bug was right to left for you. And now it's, when I stopped asking nature questions, it's dead quiet. Nothing. But you can hear, watching the video back, there's just a certain way to do things with government. It's all bulletproof, lots of paperwork. Yeah, but maybe because they live in Missouri, it's different, but in Vermont, I wouldn't have any right to possess the land for another 15 years. It's cowardice. Instead of calling me because they know they feel bad about it. And then they serve me the notice. But it wasn't them that did it, it was somebody else. I bet they gave him an ultimatum. I bet they said, you need to get rid of him or else. That's the only reason I can think of that they wouldn't call me. Unless they feel like I'm going to plead and beg, which I'm not. I'm just going to tell... Oh, shit. Look who just came out. Does it? And he doesn't... Is he going to fly? Yeah, there you go. Homeless are beaten down on the daily. In my state, homeless people are raped and killed and dumped, and they plead guilty, and the cop makes it impossible to prosecute. So they get let off for free. And then they try to hold the cop accountable, but the attorney general says, nope, he's good. In my state, homeless people, they burn the tents while they're inside them. They wait for them to go try to make their life better, and when they come back, everything is destroyed, like you can see with me, with my stuff. They destroyed my shed. I had an arbor built. They destroyed my arbor. I rebuilt it. I had a gazebo up. They left my shitty gazebo, and then they smashed my nice gazebo. I didn't even read what Tiger said. If you open your property to one homeless person, you're opening to all the homeless people. Next thing you know, you're just like Spain. They created a division between people that, like, based on class or status, they're just not as human as you are. They're just like us. Everybody's kind of just like each other in a lot of ways. Everybody wants to contribute to something greater. Everybody is generally morally good. But when you beat people down and make them the enemy or corner them like an animal, they're going to act like it. If you leave a homeless person that's violent and crazy out in the woods long enough and you give him a space to himself, eventually he becomes a good person. Because we're inherently the children that we were when we were born. Nobody is born bad. Yeah, there are a group of addicts that live like a mile down that road that live in a camper in the woods, and they're always wandering around drunk. And really nice cars are showing up there, and really terrible cars are showing up there. They're partying and they're in their 40s. Yeah, those people shouldn't be on this property. But just because I'm here doesn't mean they're here, and there's actually a greater likelihood of them not coming here because I'm here. If they felt the place was empty, they'd show up all the time. When they come up here to looking for stuff and they see that I'm here, they leave. They don't come up here. But they told me that before, they would come up here all the time. Now that I'm here, nobody comes up. It's actually good. No matter the circumstances, it doesn't give us to break the law. It used to be a law not to look at white women. The law changes as the time changes. We're giving back the land to the Native Americans. They're getting like thousands of acres back. The law is changing. We're changing. The law is not a strict rule. It's something to be constantly questioned and come to greater conclusions about to change it accordingly for the people. I'm not breaking the law here. Holy Roman Empire spread because of the liturgy of hours, work, prayer, schedule, and a Cenobite community can marry. I don't believe anything before like 200 years ago, except ancient native wisdom. All that stuff has been proven that they change it however they want. They're still trying to change it with the Epstein files, and they can't because we've been continuously evolving the system to be impossible to do that. There's too many people involved, so it's hard for one group to do something, which is the whole purpose of the country itself. With the Roman Empire, they did not have that, so I don't trust their history, I don't trust their books, I don't trust their culture, I don't trust their society. I think that the architecture was already there, which is proven that a lot of that stuff is a lot older than people realize. If you look at Cyclopean architecture, there were people here before us that were doing things that we can't do. And I think that those people just kind of took over. And if it was perfect, it wouldn't have fallen, right? Law should be based on principles, not your desires that are always subject to change. Well, it's not that way. Cops abuse law enforcement, white supremacists. Part of being a white supremacist now, they say, is to get rid of all your tattoos and join law enforcement and become judges. The white supremacist people, their whole mission is to get themselves into positions of power, to abuse the law. It's not, the law was never based on principles. We live in a world when the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, everyone tearing each other down to the top for money and status like crabs in a barrel. Yeah. Big Bang is a white hole. I think that we're a small section of the infinite that is condensed to experience itself linearly. When Catholics say, who are we to talk to God? You should say, we're literally God. But we get programmed and our infinite gets condensed the same way that time has condensed us, and we get beaten down and turned into things, and we try our best through the illusion just to have the illusion lifted upon death. We're AI agents running a simulated test. kicking off all the people who don't actually need the resources and are abusing them. Video games have a level cap, and nobody complains. Because when you get to that max level, you've done so much, you're bored anyway. And you've done literally everything, there's nothing else you can do. I don't see a problem with putting a level cap to society. Where you can keep $999 billion, and as soon as you reach trillionaire, all the money goes back to the public, and you work just to make everything better. So you can have more than 999 million or 999 billion but all the money that you get after has to be put into specific pools for the people. And the people vote on what to do with it. And then your phone just has an app with every single project that people have submitted and the proof that they're qualified to do it and the people, and you can allocate resources to that. And it can't be violence towards others. It can't be accumulation of power for yourself. It has to be more innovative STEM type things, like turning every roadway in the country into a solar panel. Turning every highway and every road in the country into a solar panel that heats up and melts the snow to eliminate salt having to be used and constantly having to repave the roads. You make it all the resources once those billionaires reach trillionaire status or whatever, or you could say, I don't know, 100 million or $100 billion or something. Once you hit that, all the money goes into funding to solve the world's problems. Do you believe in a monad? I don't know what that means, but I listen to a channel called Monad that makes beats, and I like his beats. Bird right to left. That's confirmation for somebody. I got a tarot video yesterday that said, I think you have to move in the next 3 months, and I see that you're a gifted artist and you have something about singing, and that the angels communicate to you through songs. And then they told me that if your future self could see you right now, he'd be laughing and saying, don't worry so much. You have no idea what's going to happen. It's going to be so much greater than you imagine. And then I saw myself in the future, and I was buff and taller than I am now. And probably because I quit smoking and I start stretching and I get back to being like 5'11" or 6 foot or whatever I was before I curled up in a ball in the woods for 4 years smoking. And now I'm like 5'9", 5'10", and chubby when I used to have a 6-pack and I could bench 225. So I saw myself in the future being good and looking back like, come on, man, stop stressing. Right before they said, it was as they said it. So I couldn't have processed what they were saying and then created it subconsciously. It was as it was being said. I saw both at once. So I saw what she was also seeing. I've also had one instance in my life where I was in the shack in the woods, and then a vortex appeared of better energy than we have now, a more rich and dense but beautiful energy. And there was me, but I had bigger eyes and a bigger head, and I was like very, very old, and it was a version of me that lived forever because we fixed the telomeres in our caps and we evolved naturally, but I didn't have to die. Our bodies just evolved because we lived for as long as the kings of Egypt used to live. And it came to me and just smiled and waved, and it was showing me that they're us from the future, or the Asasani or whatever Bashar calls them. that operate outside of time, and they live in like a dream space where reality is just shifting around them based on their own consciousness, instead of us, which are trying to get to that point, but we're stuck in the world. They've enhanced and evolved and intertwined with nature long enough to be outside of that, and the astrological season changed changed to a point where we're no longer bound in the dark waters of Pisces. Righteous, pretentious bullshit because he's not very intelligent, but he's really invested in ideals he doesn't really know a lot about, and he's trying to qualify himself to diminish me. It's just inbred monkey power games, inbred cave monkey power games at a base level. All that really was the I'm better than you war. Whatever other things he was saying has really nothing to do with it, in my opinion. He was looking, if you look at the sub communication of it, it's just, I'm trying to say that I'm better than you and you should feel bad about yourself. Everything else is meaningless. It doesn't matter what virtue signaling garbage he was saying. But isn't it cool that I've been feeding that ant farm for a long time and letting the ants, I've been feeding ants for a long time, and then somebody gave me this. It's my ant colony. I'm trying to find my charger for my drill, for my battery. What's your plans for the rest of the day, man? Well, I'm trying to find my charger for my battery, which is right here. I'd like to get all the trash out of the camper. And then tonight, I have a dumpster now that people let me use. So at night I go and I can throw all this stuff in the dumpster. I have to figure out, nobody in this area has the type of fuel that my brush cutter needs, so everything's getting more overgrown again. But eventually I was trying to brush cut some of those prayer stations. Oh, now my drill decides to work. That's pretty cool. Which means that I don't have to. Suddenly my drill is charged. That's weird. It died yesterday. I bet I'm gonna do like two things, and then it'll die again. But I'm trying to set up this gazebo so that the last time they see me before I leave, they only have a thing that makes them feel bad about how they treated me. And I got the drill bit. The drill bit's in the other thing, so let me go get that real quick. Man, I don't know where I put it. I have a box with I ran out of screws, but I left the drill bit in that box. I can just get it off. might be this one, or it might not be this one. Nope, the drill died. The drill died. Looks like a nice place for a hammock. Yeah, well, I'm trying to put this metal gazebo and then eventually put boards across it. But this is just a frame out of like old wood that nobody wanted, just to keep the frame in place. And then I don't care if the weather does anything to it. And then as you get money, I'll put this guy in timeout. He's been saying he thinks it's funny. Eventually I want to put it's going to be facing a little bit diagonal to match the entry point. So there's two gardens, and then the pavers are going to be like a tree that branches off to two garden sections. That one's eventually, hopefully I was going to take all the cinder blocks and all my rocks here, and I was going to make something really cool there that I saw the other day in the last video I posted. So that you come here and sit, and then on days where the mosquitoes aren't as bad or whatever, you can come sit over here and you just hang out, because eventually they're going to get rid of the camper. They said as soon as they get rid of the camper, they're never putting another one up here. I don't like the camper being here either. And then I wanted to clear out these dead trees, that whole space, build a retaining rock wall, a small retaining rock wall, and then a seating area right there, so that there's 3 seating areas, and it surrounds this middle point at the mountaintop. And I have a lot more rocks. All that's overgrown, but all that's covered with rocks. And the rocks were supposed to go around. It's getting pretty hot out. There's a dairy farm that needs help, and I don't know how much they pay, but they have 800 heads of cattle and 325 milking cows. Where's my keys? Right here in my pocket. 325 milking cows is a lot of cows. They say the estimate is that the farm profits $125,000 a year, and they've been going for 3 generations. So I'm sure that they're sitting on a couple mil, at least. And I don't want that money, but I'm saying they could afford to pay me. They haven't said what the pay is, but it's very hard work, and it's very long hours, and it's not outside, it's in the dairy processing thing. They're looking for long term. I told them I don't know what the plan is. I told them my situation. They seem interested in putting me on the job. All the birds went left to right, screaming at me left to right over and over and over. I don't think that they want me to work there. I don't think that it's supposed to be what I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't really have any other options. I don't really want to spend the Lions Gate portal in there. Where'd the people go? I don't know, they treat me like crap, so I don't really care. I don't really care anymore. It's gonna reconnect. Put all the firewood there. into that metal shed, turn that into a storage shed. People are finally on the lake. They haven't been on the lake all year. Lake I take a piss in the woods. Oh, let me show you real quick. So the reason that I found out about calling the civil department was because I showed up here and there was a cross upside down, flipped over on the ramp. I said, that's not a good sign. So I opened the door to see if it was this cross, and it was. And then right next to the cross, right here, was the card that said called the civil division. The way that it's peeled off like this, it's obvious somebody just boop. So I super glued it back on. But yeah, let me show you. There's a working shower and a working bathroom and a working kitchen in there. Why do you think that they... Oh, look, there's a suitcase now in there. So somebody peeled the cross off. They went in here. They've been packing a suitcase. They have made changes in there. It looks like they're covering the valuable... I know where their solar array is that looks valuable. It looks like they're trying to cover that with a sheet so that people don't see that. They've hung up 2 black bears up there. And their suitcase, it looks like they're packing up all the owner's stuff to get it out of this place and take it back to them. But I wasn't allowed. I'm the only person that's not allowed in there. Oh, hello, little bird, right to left. That was on the thing here. This was broken. At least I tried to fix it. See, it's still, because it broke off on the bottom there, but I told them, why is this chair broken? Like, it was like this and down. I was like, why is this like this? And they said, oh, it's been that way for years. I was like, it's so easy to just do this. Bruh, do it. I wouldn't trust these people with my property. The first time I met Mo, he said, that tree right there is worth about $20,000. That tree's worth about another 20. This whole property's probably worth $1 million. And then said nothing else. But at the end of it, after talking to him about God for like 3 hours, when the other people came up, he realized how bad they were kind of treating me. And he went, hey, Casey, do you want to come in and check out the solar array? And I said, sure. And then they got visibly mad and started kicking the ground. Like, and they invited me into the cabin. And then revealed to me that they have a bathroom. It's like, they have a shower and a bathroom in here. They're going to treat the wrong homeless person like me. Like, God's going to keep sending people here to make it better. Or, I guarantee you, like, as soon as I leave, as soon as I'm off the property and they're like, oh, we finally got him out, guarantee you someone's going to break into this shit. It's so easy. There's no cameras. They're just going to break in and take everything. There's a bunch of addicts that live right down the road. I'm the only thing keeping them from here because I've caught them, and when they found out that I was here, they stopped coming. But they were originally on the other side of the road there trying to take stuff, and then I magically came down at the perfect time and Nobody's seen them here since. They stay 2 miles down the road. They don't come up here because I'm here. As soon as I leave, there's no way this shit isn't getting broken into. They're gonna come immediately. It looks like that might have been a light, but I was like, if that's a camera, it looks like they already ripped out the camera. I don't know, if they keep treating people like shit, if the church keeps treating people that badly, they're going to associate this place with the church. Eventually, the church is going to treat somebody really badly, and they're going to be mad, and they're going to see the glowing cross. Just like they ripped off the cross on the door. It's going to happen, man. But I think that's what they want. The church wants the owner to sell it to them. The daughters want to sell it for themselves. The Knights of Columbus want to sell it for themselves and then make it exclusive so that only they can come here. The owner wants it to be like this. He put 50 years into this place. He wants it to be open to prayer. He wants a chicken coop and a tiny home down there. He wanted to build a homeless shelter there for people. He wanted that big cement platform at the bottom of the hill to be a modular home, to be a homeless thing for one person at a time. Living in Oregon like you would be great. I live in Vermont. It's the second smallest population in the country. There's nobody out here. Every time you walk into a gas station, there's only about 3 people there. Every time you go to a gym, there's only there's nobody in the gyms usually, maybe one person. And then everyone else sees that there's one person in the gym and decides, I'll go later. And there's a lot of multi-generational families that are very, very prejudiced and evil and focused on wealth, and they talk about God. He's now flooded the place with homeless people because they've been killing homeless people for a very long time here. They've been raping and killing homeless people for 100 years. So now they're being overwhelmed with homeless people, and I'm very happy about it. I'm surprised there's no wildfires. I wish there was. I wish but the homeless people, when they're like, homeless people are terrible, evil people, they're such pieces of crap. You know how easy it would be to light this whole state on fire? It's really easy to light this whole state on fire because there's nobody here to fight the fires. There's nobody here to fight the fires. One homeless person could set the whole place on fire, and there's 8,000 homeless people, and they don't. Because they're not mad at the land, they're mad at the people. They love the land. They make those trash in the campsites either because they're extremely depressed and they can't function, or they get sick of the people that own the land, how they treat them, so then they leave the garbage. Fuck them. You trespass me from the land, fuck you. And then once they finally get a place, they work tirelessly, even though they can't function. They're always trying to clean it. As soon as they get a place of their own, and that doesn't mean they have to buy it, it's just a place where there's no expectations of them and they're allowed to be there. It's never dirty. Property ownership creates trash. People don't create trash. Even if you look at like those villages where there's trash everywhere, give them 20 years and stop oppressing them. They'll clean it. It's just the way the system is right now. Europeans were the ones shitting in the streets. Africans live in mud huts and they don't shit on the ground out there. They have like a nice place to put their poop. Europeans, Zeus's Law, it was a good movie. It's pretty cool. Odysseus broke Zeus's law by giving them a gift, and the gift was the Trojan horse that they came out of and killed everybody. And then Odysseus gets lost for, I don't know how long he was lost. He was at least 7 years with whatever her name is, syphilis or whatever. And then he goes on that horrible journey because Odysseus didn't kill that girl. Odysseus only really killed, like, he wasn't trying to kill them as much as he was just trying to take it for, what's the guy, Agamemnon. But he violated Zeus's law. So how did he get punished? He had people violating Zeus's law every single day in his house where they could kill his wife at any moment. So he had to experience the fear that Troy felt, the betrayal and fear that Troy felt when they violated Zeus's law. And their belief and faith in the gods turned on them. He had to, the whole Odyssey journey was him experiencing the karma for the betrayal. Everything he did happened to him, except he got to live because he wasn't as bad as his crew was, and the gods showed him how cruel his crew was, even though he was not, for their cruelty. And I'm sure Troy also died for their cruelty. Is Vermont really that bad if you're homeless? If you're black and you don't have a white person to vouch for you? If you're just black here and that's it, and you're not like taken in by a white foster dad who helps you do carpentry. If you're just black here, yeah, they burn trash outside your house, they egg your house, they break your windows, they shoot BB guns through your windows, they shoot you with BB guns. There's one black state representative, and he said that he has to move his family out of Morristown because they keep burning shit on their property and trying to beat the shit out of them at the Price Chopper parking lot. There's a black family that moved in and works at the Market 32, just these teenagers and college white kids. Their coach is telling them to come and harass them at the Market 32. Calling them slurs and shit. There was a Puerto Rican kid that worked at the Walmart here, half Puerto Rican, half black. And actually, no, half Puerto Rican black, half Italian. And his family's very, very, very wealthy in Connecticut. They're very wealthy. They said it's the Italian mob or whatever he said. Could be full of shit, but he showed me their property, and it was like $1 million property. And he said that he made a lot of money in an illegal way online, and the IRS found him, and they took all of his money, and then his family ostracized him. So he came up here for a girl that he met online, and then he got stuck here, and he was paying for her apartment, paying for everything for her, and then she kept cheating on him. So then he left, and then I guess he lost his money somehow because the IRS took everything, and he was facing jail time, but they just took his money and left him with like a month in jail. So then he got out, and then he became a drunk, stayed homeless, even though he had like he had like a bunch of guns that were he had legal firearms that were very expensive in the car. He had like a $12,000 car, but he was just living homeless as a drunk in the parking lot. He worked at Walmart because he said he wanted to get it on his own. He didn't want to ask his family for money. And I was like, can I ask your family for money, please? So that I could get this land, and then you can come make your dreams come true on my land. You can get it all on your own, but tell your family to help me get this mountainside if they're really that rich. And when he worked at Walmart, people would come in and attack him and call him names and say all the racist shit, like, you're ruining the country, go back to where you came from. And he's like, I'm richer than you. My family's worth more than you'll ever have. What are you talking about, lazy? I'm working. Leave me alone. It is bad. I slept in that Walmart parking lot for a month. because I would stay in the area and there was a nice trail, and I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't have 2 forms of ID to work, and I was just very low functioning, but I liked to run out in the woods and take a shit, and there was a moose out there. So sometimes I would see a full moose, and I was dumb enough to, I was dumb enough to go out there and think that it wouldn't attack me. And it didn't attack me, it would just go and walk away. But I would go out there to see the moose. And I don't think I had enough money to get back to Burlington. So I was just waiting for an opportunity, asking churches for help and trying to find work. In 2023, in August, right after my dad had just tried to kill me when I went to visit him on his birthday, grabbed me by my hair, threw himself on the ground and tried to choke me to death, lied to the cops and said I attacked him. My mom backed him up, and then they worked together to lie to the cops about me being violent and crazy and that I need to be violated, she said on the phone call you can find on my channel. She said, I want him violated. So they arrested me, and now I have a felony, and now I can't work. So I came up here to get away from that. Wound up here. Didn't know this place existed or what it was, but I was just in the area. I would always wait to die. Every time I get done with the journey, I wait to die at the bottom of this hill because there's a pull-off next to it. So I just sit there and wait to die. And then eventually, after like a week, I get kicked around and shit happens, and then suddenly I'll get this righteous motivation that if I just keep going, eventually I'll find love. So then I just get back in the fight, and then I'll go for another 3 years until I break down here again, like what happened this time. But then this time, the gates open and I'm invited up here, which is pretty cool. But the point was that when I was in that Walmart, I woke up to somebody with a circular saw, cordless circular saw, slashed up this whole side of my car, just ripped my whole car open, just because I was sleeping there at the Walmart getting the Wi-Fi because I couldn't afford cell service. And that was 5 months before, no, that was 8, maybe it was August and September. So October, November, December, January, February. It was 5 months before the car broke down in Randolph, and I had to go try to survive that. And that's when I started really making content, really going live. That's when I got myself to 50 subscribers and started live streaming every day. That's weird. That means leave, and where would I go, man? I don't think I have enough money to get the title, registration, and insurance on the car. So anywhere I go, there was a headlight ticket in 2022 that I forgot about because I left the state, and I was planning to go to Austin, Texas, and I didn't have a mailing address. I thought that my mom said that she handled it because she texted me, even though she had the RFA because she thinks I'm trying to kill her. She did text me, and I thought she said she had handled the headlight ticket, because all you have to do is just email them a picture of your headlights working, and then it goes away. I thought she said that she called them and did it, and then life was stressful every day, and I forgot about it over time. Then I went back to New York and found out that she did not handle it, or it wasn't mailed in right or whatever, so now I owe them like $300 for a headlight out that I fixed for a car that I don't even have 4 years ago. So even if I did go out to New York where I was invited to stay at a horse ranch, I don't have the money to fix it. And I didn't want to send them money. I'm like, I'll pay them when I have like $100,000 in my bank account, and that's nothing to me. Then I'll throw them some money. They obviously must really need it to be such like road pirates. New York is notorious for just giving people a ridiculous amount of fines all the time. So I'm like, when I just told them I don't have income, which I don't have a way to get you that money. I can't go there to court without driving. So he said, yeah, I mean, we'll advocate for you until the very end because we're your public defenders and we get paid for it and we like what you're doing with the monastery, and we do think it's a bunch of bull crap. So when it comes time at the end of the whatever, and you're not there, whatever they decide, if you owe them money, you owe them money. If not, whatever, just don't. They said get a new car with a new license plate the next time you go to New York. Because they obviously profiled you because of the dent in the car and the buck head on the side. Because they pulled you over for a dirty plate and your plate wasn't dirty because an other New York trooper had wiped it off the day before. That was really funny. The entire reason that Long Lake happened with those people at St. Henry's Church just treating me like shit and screaming at me and locking the door and hiding in the corner like I'm going to hurt them and lying to the police saying that I'm violent and terrible and that begging them to hurt me any way they can, and the cops said no. And then they got mad and told me they're going to chop me up and throw me in the lake like they've been doing for decades. Turning off all the cameras and the lights and that at night, trying to scare me out, thinking that they're going to kill me. All of that was because cops pulled me over for a dirty plate when my plate wasn't dirty. And then the officer that showed up to deal with it, you couldn't read her numbers on her plate. Her plate was so dirty you couldn't read it. But because of that, I wound up here and tried to shoot myself and was given this property. And I'm really trying. I have barely any income, and I bought that woodshed. I have barely any income, and I bought this awning so that people could sit here and attach it to the screws and put the screws into there so that you have, when the sun eventually comes over here and it gets to be like 100 degrees, people can still sit here like this. What's in the water at Vermont? Cyanobacteria from people shitting dumping all their shit into the lake. That's why nobody's swimming out there and no boats are going, because it's full of shit. Vermont is full of shit. Everyone here is full of shit. They dump their shit in the water here. Get some warehouse work, bro. I'm a felon. I tried to work at FedEx and UPS, and they said no. I tried to work at, I forgot what it's called. It's in Milton. It's this nice factory. It's not Lexapro. That's an antidepressant. Maybe it's Lexicon or something. I've tried to work at the warehouse. I tried to work at MSI in Morristown. I didn't have 2 forms of ID, and now I have the convicted felony of messaging my mom back when she offered to pay for my insurance, or going to see her when they invited me, even though she's shown up before. She violates that RFA all the time. But then whenever she feels like it, she calls, and then I get felonies. So I'm like a 3-count convicted felon, with time served being every time I missed court because I don't have a bus or phone service or a way to get there. Or one time I got the days wrong. One time I thought it was the 2nd and it was the 20th and I messed up the days. But I think my public defender, I didn't know that public defenders can just have them waive that warrant. So all the other public defenders I'm mad at now, I'm like, you're the reason that I got molested in fucking jail when I was 22. And then she resigned from my case. I was like, you could have, I didn't know that you were allowed to call me and you were able to waive that warrant. Instead, you told me nothing, and I thought that they just threw out the simple assault of somebody bumping into me in the hallway after he filed false police reports for 6 months trying to get my lease evicted or violated, after I confronted him about trying to lure my schizophrenic foster brother into his room because he was a psychic. You thought about starting your own business and you would be your own boss? I mean, I know how to orbital sand. I don't know how to get an LLC. I don't know how to do that, but then I could just have I could just take the orbital sander that I bought back, and then I could go orbital sanding. I don't charge $60 an hour. I charge $40 an hour. I cover my own materials, and I go for 12-hour days and don't complain. I'll do time plus materials, and then just some flat rate on top of that, like I'd have to talk to contractors because contractors around here charge 150 an hour, and then if they have employees, they also charge. They bring it to 180 so that they can pay their employees 35 an hour minimum to do that job. An hour, and then the boss stopped responding to me after he owes me $1,000. And the owner said when I said if he doesn't respond to me, I'm gonna have to ask you for a check. And she said, please don't. And was a really obscene that part of the winning team. I hate Mexicans LLC. They're like, hell yeah, I'll let you sand my house just cause. And then I go to these wealthy properties and be like, how would you like a better paint on your stuff? The world's changing. How would you like to look nicer? And then everybody with wealth is obsessed with their ego, and then they extend their ego to the property. So, which you can see with the people paying lawyers just to say you don't possess the land. They're obsessed with they make their this an extent. I offer to sand it, and then I meet somebody that does a really good job painting. Like, how would you like to have on this side of the wall, on the back side of your house? How would you like it that I sand the whole thing down, and then we come in with this really nice artist, and they paint this beautiful mural of the mountains and gardens and castles or whatever you want. We paint that over this side of the house so that you can build your garden seating section with this really cool backdrop for a lot cheaper. Christina, I thought you were the community development planner of a Native American reservation in British Columbia that owns a 100-acre mountaintop, and then didn't help when I was freezing to death. And then my little brother died by freezing to death because I couldn't find a way out to help him and my cousin. And now my cousin's homeless. He's going to die soon, probably. And my dad's going to die soon, probably, because he's also homeless. And it's my mom's fault. It's my mom's fault for lying to the cops. So I couldn't pursue my dream of working FedEx. If I was able to get that job in 2023, when I went in for FedEx, I'd have 100, with crypto and meme coins of 2024, I'd have 1 million. I'm not. There was somebody else named Christina who was a community development planner at a Native American reservation, and she said she's very well off from her farms and her job, and she was bragging about how she just got a sawmill and stuff. And there's also a guy named Justin who's a multimillionaire that comes in here sometimes and says I really help him in life somehow. My channel makes him cry. I never know if he's trolling. He says he lives in Canada and he's a multimillionaire. And they just sat and watched me cry every day, trying to get jobs and just complaining my way through it, saying eventually something's going to happen. But when I was in Morristown, I went to roofers and asked for help. I went to contractors and asked for help, and they said no. Dollar Tree said yes, but I couldn't pass the background check, and I didn't have 2 forms of ID. Or Dollar Tree, yeah, Dollar Tree. MSI said no, and then I got trespassed from pretty much everywhere else. The people at Cumberland Farms told me to kick rocks, that they don't even take food stamps, when I know for a fact they take food stamps. They just would not serve me. They were convinced I must be an addict junkie that's trying to destroy the place, and I was there trying to make my dreams come true. I was getting like 1,000 views per video. Like, I think like 5,000 to 7,000 views per video. And then the cops showed up and trespassed me and made a big deal out of it, and then they just kept following me around town. They shot at me. Drove by with the ceramic brakes, squealing on the ceramic brakes. One time, Ron Audette got out and stomped on my notebook and put his stomach on the top of my head while I was sitting on the ground and didn't say anything until I moved my hair and he saw I was a dude. and then was recording him, and then he said basically leave town and took off. Then I found out that he's been molesting homeless women for decades from the women that he molested. And I posted one of those testimonies, and then they shot at me on the rail trail. And then I guess I missed court. I forget why I missed court. I think they weren't doing the WebEx for that specific day for some reason, because they wanted to do it. If suddenly they just aren't doing the WebEx for that specific court date, it's either something I don't know about, or they knew that there's no bus to get you all the way to Orange County. There's no bus there, and it's like maybe 30 miles. So either they set me up to be arrested, either way they showed up on a Friday, so then I would have to be in jail for the weekend, which makes law enforcement a lot of money because those people get paid for my presence in the jail, and they get paid for the arrest itself. And they did try to say that I damaged their equipment and that they tried to charge me $300 for that, and then the judge waived it. They tried to trespass me from the police station so that I couldn't do the FOIA request and couldn't get the body cam footage, and the judge said no to that. Then they showed up with mental health a week later and said if I didn't know what day of the week it was, they would do what they did to me last time. And what they did to me last time was violate my Fourth Amendment right by opening the tent, macing me, which is excessive force, while I'm in passive resistance, which does not warrant for mace. Even if there's a threat of danger, you're not allowed to use mace for passive resistance for somebody in a tent. Violates the Fourth Amendment because you have privacy. You don't have to open your domicile to anybody unless they have a warrant to enter your domicile, which they didn't. They just ripped open the tent. They maced me. They dragged me. There was needles on the ground from other people because I would just live where the trash is because I didn't want to bother anybody. So there was needles and broken glass everywhere. They dragged me by my legs onto that. Whether it was the torture cuffs or not that they cuffed me so tight, I had an open wound on my wrist that I showed the nurse. They did say that it was tight. You can see on the video, the guy that issued a painful wrist lock while I was in passive resistance saying, I'm not resisting, I'm not resisting, I'm not resisting. And the cops purposefully angled themselves in a way that you can't see if I'm resisting or not. Whether that's happenstance or it was deliberate, you can't see that I'm not resisting, but I'm calmly saying I'm not resisting. You can see that I'm not resisting, and I'm just saying I'm not resisting. And they're going, yes, you are, stop, as he's issuing a painful wrist lock, attempting to break my wrist. And then he cuffs me so tight. Either it was from the broken glass or the needles on the ground outside the tent where all the homeless people sit, or it was the torture cuffs. I did have an open wound, which is all excessive force and all that, which is what I was waiting for. I was waiting for, you can hear me say, are you going to stop talking to me like this? Like a psycho? I was waiting for them to calm the fuck down and just talk to me. Because it would have been so simple as to call me. I was waiting for kindness and them to like stop being psychos. Force at all, and they didn't. They continued escalating. They lied about why they were there. They tried to play this weird game that made no sense. By their logic, if there's a homeless man in the tent and you have a warrant for somebody's arrest, say Smegma Steve has a warrant for his arrest for taking trash bags out of somebody's camper, and there's a tent campsite over there. By their logic, they can walk up to a tent site and go, Smegma Steve, and then somebody goes, I'm not going to talk to you. Yes, enough to say that he responded to his name. So they just yelled out a name they thought was the person, and then the person responded, but it's not the person, They have no way to identify him. They say in the police report, which is drunken and misspelled completely misspelled and just really, it looks like he's drunk or he's retarded. That they didn't know who was in the tent, and they go case initiate. So you should be able to explain for a long. The fat woman Kathy at the fucking crisis team, this methed up cop, and then the guy who molests homeless women. Just sit there standing there. They're just standing there. So I'm like, how do you guys sleep at night? And he goes, with my eyes closed. And I say, yeah, in a belly full of beer, and your wife fantasizes about men like me if you even have one. So then he goes, I'm gonna get you for littering. And I was like, what, the trash that's everywhere? You're gonna it's different. Look at this butterfly that's gonna come visit. It flew right up to us. My son went into landscaping and hauling business. My son-in-law does the same. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I've been hauling rocks up to the property, and I went out and did landscaping, and then I wore a shirt that says Jesus has my back. So when the boss paid me, she paid me, and on Cash App it had the devil emojis, and then she stopped. She never texted me back. It was something to do with Christianity she didn't like. But I did a really good job. She said I killed it. She said she'd love to keep working with me because I did more than everybody else did. I work really hard, and it was never that I'm lazy. It was that they literally won't hire me anymore. Facts. I know I complain all day. I'm waiting for my thing to charge. And then I'm gonna, I don't know, can I get a bird, please? Please? Can I get a bird? Right for yes, I should work at the dairy farm. Left for no. I was trying to sell clothes. Yes, I seen that shirt, very nice. Demon Hunter made the red shirt with the green letters, and then I'll show you the one I'm trying to sell. If I get served. And then I wanted to sell this shirt. I want it to glow. And then I want to cross. So it's just a black shirt with a white cross, but then at night it glows in the dark. I like this one too. And then the letters would be Vermont Steel under the hood like that. It would say Vermont, but it would say it in red and white letters. The brown of the road and the sky. I didn't have. Who the fuck is this guy? Because if you look at my eyes, oh, you can't even see it. I'll talk about it. I was going to ask about the style of lettering for that one. I don't know. You just get a laptop, and then you Photo P. It's called. It's a free Photoshop software. Photop.com, like PPA, and then you could just have Photoshop, and then take the image and put that. I just used Grok to generate it. but it would just be Roman lettering. And then I don't know how to Photoshop. I don't know how to Photoshop a gold sheen onto it. I guess you'd take metal and Photoshop the metal, and then I don't know how to print shiny gold. I think you have to take you have to do like a stencil. You have to create the stencil of the letters. It's not hard and it's very hard. Like with the screen press, you just press it in, so it's not that hard. With whatever the press that pushes down, but then you have to wash everything off, and then you have to have a sink wash basin to wash the thing you got to use. I have people that there's a youth-led business for people in DCF custody in my hometown that does shirts, so I would just call them and try to work on that. If I get the camper and I get the job at the creamery, the gym is the gym is a mile from the creamery. The gym has Wi-Fi. I could hold up there for a couple months and start selling clothes and working out of the camper, and then figure it out. I don't know why life became accumulating money and not having any dreams. Instead of daydreaming, we're fantasizing about getting money. I've tried GoFundMe's before and nobody donates. My situation is much better than it was, and at my worst, nobody donated. Venmo and Chime and all that in my channel description. I usually do life path readings where I tell you based on your life path, kind of why you were created. Demetrius! I'm going to eat a 3-day-old cheeseburger. It's been left in my car for lunch, and then after lunch. Hold up. Do I have anything to drink? Yes, I have a soda that's still cold. And I have 2 slices of pizza, but I'm going to have those later. So let's get this, and let's get this. Demetrius! To the Twin Towers! Where's a chair? I want to sit. Let me get this chair. You guys think the sea people in the Odyssey were the Vikings? I could have just taken the chair that I used to stand the phone on. That could have been bad. I forgot that I had the drill bits in my finger. Can you fuck off, please? The fucking flies, man. You guys think I'm getting that $800? A dragonfly went left to right, saying nope. I'm O bloodline, or I'm O blood type, but my mom is Rh negative. Rh negative is like this darkness. It's purple. It's like they just have so much evil in them. And they always get cats. Rh negative people get cats, and then the cats tend to inherit the evil power. So then the cats start to act like crackheads. Because animals take in sort of some of your bandwidth. Like, say if you have like a lot of bad energy, the cats take in that energy too, and they process it, which is why they go insane at night. They harvest your life force while you're asleep, and that's why they get the zoomies. So with Rh negative, the only power for them to harvest is like this disgusting, evil, alien thing, which makes the cats terrible. They like they're just really negative and aggressive. O bloodlines and Rh negative bloodlines, whatever's in the blood or the ancestry or something, it's just a different energy. It's more grounded. It's more condensed, like dense and real. I call it real because they don't get any delusions of power and authority. They don't play power games. Rh negatives do, but the O bloodline doesn't really play power games. They seem to understand more about the world than everybody else. and that usually means that they get treated everything. That can you even hear me? That's crazy. Did you guys hear my whole rant on RH negative and O positive or O bloodline? RH negative is Edward from Twilight. O is Jacob from Twilight. Is what I was shown. Sitting out here asking whatever these things are. No. Bitch. You fucking bitch. But that's okay because I am used to read. I'll fix your car, but not your heart. So don't call me in a panic. I'm only your mechanic. I'm not your friend. I'm not your lover. I'm not your mother. I'm your auto mechanic. I'll fix your car, but not your heart. So don't call me in a panic. I'm only your mechanic. Get out of my head, fly. Not your mother. I'm your auto mechanic. I'll fix your car, not your heart. So don't call me in a panic. I'm only your mechanic. Azazel? No, a weasel. Eats a lot of chickens. I am not your friend. I'm not your lover. I'm not your mother. I'm your auto mechanic. I'll fix your car, not your heart. So don't call me in a panic. I am not your friend. Not your lover. Not your I'll fix your car, not your heart. Orf, 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 orf. 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 Orf, orf, orf. Huh? Orf, orf, orf. If that's connected, I don't care. That's fine with me, man. That's pretty fine with me, man. Pretty fine with me, man. Boomhauer, doing Hauer. Huh? Oh wait, something's wrong. Something's wrong here. It's not adding up. One of these things is wrong. You fucking bitch. Fuck you. Fuck you. What the hell? Okay. What? Okay, hold on. So this has to be in the middle. That's in the middle. So that has to be on the bottom. This has to be there. Okay, so then that goes in. Okay, it's making sense. It's all starting to make some sense now. I'm going to tie my hair together because I don't want to go get my hair tie. Um. That's in. Correctly. This needs to go on top of this, and then it goes to here. You need to move under the shade before my phone overheats. Oh, almost dropped it. What? Fuck you. Kill yourself. Please. I asked my kids if they wanted it, and they didn't, so I gave it to a homeless family. I know how you wanted to leave it. What are you talking about? I lost my house and have been homeless for 3.5 years. It has been a complete eye-opener. I have seen so much. I always knew that there was a lot going on. I fell for a scam. It was at my house paying on a lease with option to purchase. Company got in trouble with the feds. They notified me of this and wanted it. $45 within 2 weeks. I didn't have it, so I packed and left. Getting the house from drove Bugattis, so they were mega rich. Sanctuary. What do you mean you gave it to your kids? Or your kids didn't want it? So you gave it to a homeless family? I didn't see what that was. You just say sanctuary. Did you give a sanctuary to a homeless family? To the town is in, I always check on it because it was my first house. Oh, you built a house and then they took it from you, so then you gave it to somebody else somehow. So I can relate to someone loving the land and wanting to be for the better good. Sounds like the Reckless Ben situation where the Bricks and Minifigs took over a franchise owner. The corporation took over a franchise owner and she had $200,000 worth of Legos in it for consignment. So somebody else owned it and they were selling it and they were splitting the profits. but they hadn't sold it yet, so it was still technically the owner's. So it had to be returned to the owner or needed to be picked up and continued to pay the owner for that. And instead, they took it in a U-Haul after, and then it disappeared. So they stole $200,000 from them and then kicked them out of the store for some reason. They had to have some legal grounds to take over and kick them out. So she wasn't making payments or back on rent or something. She could have been selling the Legos. Who knows? But Bricks and Minifixes really dug themselves a hole. My kids, they have their own. This fly is bothering me. Get a job, fly. I'm not your friend, not your lover, not your mother. I'm your auto mechanic. I'll fix your car, not your heart. So don't call me in a panic. I'm only your mechanic. I'm your auto mechanic. Not your heart. Don't call me into panic. I'm only your mechanic. Fucking mosquitoes. Which is why nobody comes up here. Which is what I'm trying to fix. Can you fuck off, please? Got it. Fucking got it. Why does it strip? Something's wrong with these, man. Something's wrong with these, man. they strip instantly. If I turn it down. What the fuck is going on? Good thing I have 2 leftover screws. God wants her dead. I don't know what to tell her. Maybe the drill bit is stripped. Oh, the drill bit looks fine. These screws just strip themselves. Very weird, man. That's gonna go over the thing anyway. That's gonna fucking suck for the whole rest of the project. And all these 500 screws. Um, Every screw is not going in past the original board. I can get it into one board, but when it comes time to get it into the second board, it's stripping. And not in any way I would like. What the hell? Nope, now that's fucked. Every single screw strips. Grasshopper. Got a fucking splinter. I figured it out. You have to push down ridiculously hard on the screw, and then it fits in. Nope, it still doesn't do it. 3 more. Boards. Spider-Man couldn't do this. Tom Holland couldn't do this. He's not poor enough. Okay. I'm about to set it up. You guys can see it. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to end the live and do a new live for the actual building of the